everybody. My name is Sharon Quinn, and I am also known as the original runway diva, and you are watching Model Behavior. Class is officially in session. Today, my guest is designer Veronica Lipscomb of True Diva Designs. Welcome, Veronica, to Model Behavior.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, let's get right to it. So I'm gonna clown you a little bit. We was looking looking for things about you, and your bio talked about your clothing and didn't say anything about you, so I don't know anything, so that's what we're gonna start with.
Okay.
Now, I know that I met you when you were a beauty pageant contestant in New Jersey a few years back.
Yes.
Now, how did you make that transition from, I guess, pageant contestant to designer, or were you always a designer?
Well, listen, right, I was always a designer, but I did the pageant thinking that, okay, I'm gonna get out here, get some exposure, because everything that I wore in the pageant, I made.
I remember that.
Right, and I remember at the end of the pageant, you know, you said, why you didn't tell me that? Why you didn't tell me that? And I said, well, everything I wore, you know, I made. And I figured, you know what, well, I get this out there now for people to see, and then it'll take me and catapult me to something else. And so I started there. And in everything that I've done in the beginning, from the pageant, I've always met someone that would take me to another level of exposure.
Okay.
And so doing the pageant helped me to meet other people and network that were in the business that I was able to, you know, design, you know, the things that I make for other people, and for it to be seen.
Okay.
Because a lot of people didn't know about me.
So how did you start designing? Was that something you did from childhood, or how did that go for you? Were you formally trained?
No, I was not formally trained. I remember when I was in 6th grade, and I asked my mother for a sewing machine for Christmas.
Oh.
And my father and my mom brought me a sewing machine. I had no idea how to thread a needle, thread a bobbin, nothing, but I wanted,
you just wanted it.
I wanted a sewing machine, because I always used to hand sew little doll clothes. And I mean, I would fight you over my doll clothes. You know, and I would make my little doll clothes and everything. And I asked them for a sewing machine. And I sat there with this machine, and I couldn't thread it. You know, I'm trying to read. I'm not really technical. You know, so I didn't know. Then I said, you know, Mom, something's wrong with this machine. Now, mind you, it was brand new. I said, something's wrong with this machine. So I said, you know, I'm going to take it to the shop because something is wrong with this machine. I took the machine to the shop, and the guy that I had taken the machine there, he said, oh, something was wrong with it. Honestly, it wasn't anything wrong with it. I just wasn't threading it right. And I went back to pick up the machine like a week later. He closed the shop, machine and all.
He took your machine?
Took my machine and all. I was devastated. I was crying all the way back home. The guy is gone, the store is closed, my machine is gone, telling my mom. And I was devastated. I could not believe it. So that was when I was in 6th grade, so I was like,
wait, hold up. So that was the end of you just out of a sewing machine?
Out of a sewing machine.
Did your parents replace the machine, or?
They didn't replace it, and honestly, I can't even remember now what took place to, you know, like why I didn't just get another machine, but I was really devastated that this machine was gone and this store was closed, you know? So as time went on, you know, I've always loved fashion, always.
Okay.
Always, since a child, I love fashion, looking at all the magazines. I would sit in my closet and just look at Vogue, you know, Cosmo, Elle, different magazines and stuff. I always loved fashion.
Okay, why was you sitting in the closet, Veronica?
Because that was my quiet space.
Okay.
I'm a middle child. And the middle child, you know, you're not the oldest, you're not the youngest. So as a middle child, I would go upstairs and I would open up my closet, and we lived in a little small 2-bedroom house. So that was my little quiet space. And I would sit in the closet and read my little magazines, you know, cut out different pictures that I really liked, and took tape and pasted them inside my closet. Like, this closet to me was like a room.
Okay. All right. You know you look a little crazy to me right now.
Crazy.
But that's okay. But how did you start? How did you eventually learn how to sew?
Well, I had a girlfriend who's a seamstress.
Okay.
And I used to go to her and I would, you know, show her things that I wanted for myself. And I would say, make this dress for me. And I want it like this. And I want the sleeve like this. I want the neckline like this. And I would tell her how to do it. And she would do exactly what I said. This one particular time I went to her, I said, I'm going to this event. I need this dress. She said, well, I'm not doing it. I said, what do you mean you're not doing it? I'm not doing it. You're going to do it yourself. I said, are you kidding me? This event is next week. I need you to do this dress. She said, well, I'm not doing it. You're going to come over here next week, get a machine. Now get a machine. This is what she told me, get a machine. Like I just got machines hanging in my pocket. You know? Get a machine and come over and I'm going to show you how to put a zipper in. I'm going to show you how to do pockets. And I'm going to show you how to do a basic dress, and that's what I'm going to teach you how to do. I left there, I was hot with her. I mean, I'm in the car. I called my husband. I was like, can you believe it? She's not going to make me anything. And I paid her every time. I never not paid her, you know, and I'm ramming and ramming. And I went over there, I called my aunt, and she does quilting, teaches quilting. And she has machines and things, a lot of machines. So I said, do you have an old machine, you know, that I could use so I can learn how to sew? She sent me a machine, mailed it to me from Maryland to Jersey. And she sent me this sewing machine. And she sent the machine, I set it up, taught myself how to thread it and everything before I went to her house next week. And I took that machine to her house and she showed me how to do a basic zipper and a basic dress, just 2 or 3 times.
So you said you taught yourself how to thread. Now where did you get, you just picked that up?
I read the directions.
Oh, because
the instructions on that she sent, the instructions with the machine. So I sat there and I read through it and it has a diagram. And I just kept following the diagram till I got it right. And then I would put a piece of fabric in there. And when I saw a stitch, I was like, oh my God, it's sewing, you know. And I put the fabric in and there it was.
So long story short, you wound up making your dress.
I made my dress, and from that point on, every time I would go somewhere, I would make something for myself to wear. I would tear it apart. If it wasn't right, take it apart, start all over again. And I would just keep doing it.
But see, that's a gift because Lord knows, I've been wanting to make, I was a big kid. So, you know, my mother made a lot of clothes for me.
Right.
I broke my mother's sewing machine so many times trying to teach myself, trying to learn how to sew, that she never let me touch it again. She's like, that's not your gift. That's okay. Don't. So, I mean, it was something that was just inside you to do that. And everyone can't do, everyone can't be a designer.
No, I believe that. I do believe that it was something that was always hidden inside. And honestly, it took my husband to tap into that. I mean, I remember when we first met and he asked me what was my passion. I said, I don't know, I don't have a passion.
Oh, girl.
That's what I said, that's what I said. And then I thought about it, and I said, well, you know what, I like fashion. He said, well, what are you gonna do about it? You know, and I realized, I said, well, wait a minute, you know, and that's when I met my girlfriend who was a seamstress and everything, and one thing led to another, and every time I would make something for myself and wear it, people would stop me. Oh, where did you get that from? Well, where did you get that from? And at first, I wouldn't tell people because I didn't want them to know that I was sewing, so I wouldn't.
What? Okay. That's a little strange, Veronica.
Real crazy. I wouldn't tell them because I'm like, I just want to sew for myself. I didn't get into sewing to sew for people. I got into to sew for myself.
And maybe that's the best way to do it. So how did the True Diva label come about?
Well, I went for a casting for the Art of Curves. This was right after that pageant.
I remember that show, yeah.
I went there to the casting to be a designer in the show.
And this was your first?
My very first time ever. I didn't know anything about going to a casting to be a designer or anything like that. I mean, every time I would make something, I had my girlfriend who would take pictures of it, of the garments and everything, and we just made a little crazy little portfolio of the garments, you know, and you know, and I put it in a book, and I went there for the casting, and they said, no, our casting it's closed. They, you know, it wasn't like, no, we don't want you, but the casting for the designers were closed.
Oh, you missed the deadline.
I missed the deadline by a week. But she said, well, do you model? Because I came in there looking, hello. So I said, and right there off the top of my, I said, oh, yes. So I walked for them, and they said, okay, well, we'll let you know. And they called me back a week later and said, you made the cut. And I was like, okay.
So wait a minute. So you went to submit yourself as a designer, and you wound up being a model.
In the show.
Why do I not remember that, though?
And you were there.
And I was there.
And you were there. And you were there. Mm-hmm.
So after that,
After,
tell me the next steps.
the next step, after that, I said, you know, I'm a model in this show this year. If they have this show next year, I'm going to be a designer in this show. Because I figured if I couldn't get in through the front door, I'm going to get in through the back door. And the back door was being a model in the show and finding out how I can become a designer next year. And lo and behold, that's what happened. I became a designer in the show.
So the
Next year, the following
year that's when True Diva Designs
And
was
that's
launched to
when
the public.
it was launched to the public.
So how did it take off quickly after that, or did you have some missteps? What was the process?
Well, it did take off quickly. I had a lot of missteps, you know, because it was a learning process for me. And I didn't have anyone really to teach me and to show me, well, girl, you do this, well, girl, you do this. Every move that I made was, you know, learning by experience. And honestly, thanks be to God that I met some really nice people. And I love Madeline.
Maddie Jones.
Oh,
Shout
Maddie
out to
Jones.
Maddie, Plus
Hello.
Model Magazine.
Exactly. She has been so good to me. I mean, she really taught me a lot. She's given True Diva such publicity, and you know, and she's given us a lot of editorials in her magazine, and that's what really started, you know, True Diva really on a roll, you know, and people requesting things, you know, and calling me to be in shows, and it just kept going to where it is today.
Well, I love your stuff. And my favorite dress is, I think it's the first dress that you gave me, the red dress. I wear that dress to death. I know you're only supposed to wear stuff once. I done wore that dress like 5 times, and probably more than that, because I really love it.
Thank you.
And I think your designs are beautiful. Now, when you create, what do you have in mind? What sort of woman are you designing for?
I like to design for a woman who's confident, who walks in a room, you know, and is just sexy for no reason, but fully covered.
Yes, yes, yes.
Fully covered. Like, you don't have to have all your hoo-da-hoos and woo-da-woos out, but you can walk in a room and everybody in there is like, who's that? You know, that's the type of woman that I like, you know.
So you like a woman with presence.
With presence. And that is going to give you everything. And and not even knowing that she's doing that.
Okay. Now, how long has True Diva Designs been around? When did you start your
Since
company?
1999.
How many years is that? You know, math wasn't my strongest subject.
It has really been it's 1999, so you figure it's been well over 15 years.
15 years, okay.
Yeah.
Where is it now? Where do you see your company going in the future?
Okay, as far as True Diva, I would like to see more and more people purchasing True Diva. But I'm not that person, like, I'm not fighting to be an Ashley Stewart or Lane Bryant's or that type of, you know, this mega type of designer, you know, but I do want to be a household name. But, you know, I really like, you know, on a smaller scale, but a presence.
Why not do something? How come, or maybe you have and I don't know it. What about the Project Runway sort of thing? Don't bite your, you know what, Veronica? Have you ever thought about maybe submitting your stuff to that? Or have you already talked yourself out of that?
They sent me, I hate to even say it, they did send me paperwork. I did get it, and I was like, I can't go on there. You know, sometimes I'm my own worst enemy. I'm gonna be honest. Sometimes I am my own worst enemy, because, you know, I get in my head like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, you know, and everyone says, you really need to go on there. Your clothes are really good. And I'm a real stickler about my things. Like, I like for my inside and out to be just my inside to be just as good as my outside.
You use finishing seams. Love that.
Yes.
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 I can't stand to see that little sister cut on the bottom with no finish. That bothers me.
Not gonna happen for me.
So you got the application and you didn't fill it out.
I didn't fill it out.
Does the application expire? Can you do it for maybe the next season?
Well, this was a couple of years ago.
So?
A couple of years ago. And I just I'm like, I know I'm gonna get on there and y'all gonna see a whole different side of me.
That's okay.
And then I'm gonna be at a panic. You know, I don't know if that type of pressure will work well for me. But
So
then
I don't think I think that maybe we will see the panic side, but it's okay to panic as long as you can produce. And from what I see, you can produce. Get out your own way and get on that show and stop playing, Veronica.
I know. You're right. You're right.
Now, tell me, you threw out a word seamstress earlier. What's the difference between a seamstress and a designer? Is there a difference?
I think so. Because let me say this. I have a girlfriend who went to Parsons. And she graduated, you know, all the technical skills and everything. I didn't go to Parsons. I didn't go to nobody's. I went to Veronica's. And, you know, and she would tell me in a minute, like for instance, as far as fabrication, she would say, okay, well, you get the design that you want to do, and then you go and shop for your fabric. That's the technical way of doing things. I don't do it that way. I go and shop for fabric, and then the design comes to me.
Ah.
And it comes to me. Now, I tell her that, and she's like, that's not how you do it. You're not supposed to do it that way. You know, this isn't right. That's not correct. And she has all the technical skills. But now, if I say to her, you know, design a fabulous dress, she's stumped. Like, if you don't come to her with a design, she lacks the creativity.
So that's a seamstress.
And that's to me.
Right.
That's my opinion.
But that's what it sounds like to me
But that's what it sounds like to me, that the seamstresses have all the technical skills, whereas the designer has the creativity.
But aren't you like a little bit of both?
Oh yes, I'm part of both worlds.
Now, has the thought ever occurred to you to maybe go to school and learn the technical aspects?
It has. You know, I've spoken to my husband, I've spoken to other people about it. I'm like, maybe I should go and take some classes and, you know, learn different things. But I find a lot of times, you know, when I've gone and sat in certain things, that they have a tendency to keep you in a box.
Ooh.
And they'll tell you, no, you can't use that tapestry fabric to make that. And then I find that shuts down a designer who has the creativity, because then it limits you. And I don't want to be limited. I don't want to say I can't make that coat with that fabric.
I see. Now, you know, we had one of the early segments I had, this may have been my second show, it was called The Designer Speak. I had Douglas Says and Robert Knight on it. And I kid you not, Douglas and Robert said just about the same sort of thing. And where do you find the balance? And maybe you just do what the professors want you to do to get your degree, but then you go ahead and follow your passion. But I don't understand why, as a designer, they wouldn't encourage you to follow your passion and maybe do something different rather than tell you, well, that's not the way you do it. You have to do it A, B, and C way.
Well, I would think that they would want you to, you know, jump out there, because listen, Alexander McQueen, you can't tell me nothing about him. I mean, look how creative, you know, he was. You know, a lot of these designers that are really top-notch designers are very great. John Galliano. I mean, these are people who, you look at their stuff and you're like, are you kidding me right now? It's so fabulous. And these, I believe, are people who are really passionate and creative. And they didn't get that from, you know, a school. They may have gotten it from being in a house, you know, studying, you know, being under a different label or something like that. But I don't think that's something that can be taught. I think that's something that's within.
There you go. So dare I say, you can have the technical skill, But you can't really be a designer without the passion, right?
I would think I'm not knocking those who have gone to school. Please don't get me wrong.
Right, and
I'm
I
not
think
knocking
I may have said that,
Right.
worded that wrong.
Right. I'm not knocking them, and I'm not saying they're not creative. You know, but I do find those that are creative a lot of times are self-taught, or who have gone and have gotten some, you know, have taken some classes, but may not have finished because at a certain point they figure, well, you know, I can do this, you know, and then they start figuring things out their own ways. I'm not saying that there's not things that I need to learn, but for me, it has worked for me and where I'm at.
And maybe hands-on knowledge works, or hands-on experience works better for you?
Yes, yes.
Now, all right, let me just toss, you got a favorite designer or someone who inspires you to do what it is that you do? Doesn't have to be a designer, just someone in particular?
Well, I like Lanvin. I love his things.
Lanvin?
Yes, as a designer. But
Go ahead, I'm trying to think.
Oh, honey, Google him. All of his things.
I will.
They are fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. And he inspires me. I love his, but then I hate to just narrow down one because there's so many. And I think that's the designer in me. I love to see other designers that are creative and that will pull out something that you're like, wow, that is gorgeous. You know, I love, 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 love couture.
Okay.
And sometimes I don't like when designers, you know, put couture on their name and it's not couture.
Oh, yeah.
And
Talk
maybe
about
I
it.
shouldn't have said that.
No, that's what this is educational. That's what this is about.
But because I look at couture clothing, I mean, and those are couture clothing compared to when I say, oh, Veronica Couture. I would never, I told my husband, I said, I would never put couture behind my name when you need to Google and find actually what couture means.
And it's a special.
And it's a process.
Yes, it's a special process. Leonard David
it
talked
takes
about
quite
that.
some time to make a couture garment that's made. A lot of times, the majority of that garment is sewn by hand.
Yeah, it's a special skill.
It's a special skill. And when I see, oh, Veronica Couture, I'm like, okay, well, all righty then. You know? I mean, and I just move along. No, I would not put that behind my name.
So, what do you, how do I word this? I have a senior moment. So, True Diva Designs is curvy, conscious clothing for the fashion-forward woman. Explain that to me. What does that mean?
It means women who like to be on trend. I love a curvy woman, a well-proportioned curvy woman, because that's me. You know, all my life I've always been curvy. I've never been that small chick ever. So it's not like I said, oh girl, I got this side. No, I've been like this since I was younger. And I've always had a problem with clothing because I've had a lot of behind, and then my waist was small. So a lot of times the things that I would wear may fit me down the bottom, but it's big up the top. So, you know, in curvy women, we have a tendency, it's kind of difficult to find a lot of garments to fit you and fit you appropriately, you know, and that's what I like to do. I like to dress that particular woman, not knocking anybody, but that particular girl there that's real curvy, that has, you know, like the pear shape, or, you know, that has the bigger hips, you know, and has difficulty in finding something that may fit. And then I also like to do a lot more structured things, because a lot of times, you know, we as plus women, we like to just squeeze in to everything.
Stretching materials, bodycon dresses. We talked about that.
Yes.
I'm going to take you right to that. Since you open that door, we're going to walk on right through it.
You know, I mean, I like to do, it's nothing wrong with, you know, some bodycons, but I like to have a mixture, you know.
Well,
to a degree, but everybody,
right.
Wait a minute, to a degree. And then please, 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 if you're going to wear that bodycon, please put on some foundation underneath. You cannot squeeze yourself into that and be posed out and you don't have foundation. A garment has to be built underneath to be brought out.
Okay.
And I don't care if you're a size 2 or 22. You know, everybody needs to wear some type of foundation, some type.
Yes.
You know, even a small size. You have to put something on underneath to give that garment shape and to make sure that, you know, you're looking good.
And it can't just be a Spanx. Not
No.
to knock a Spanx, but once you get past a certain size, yeah, you out of the Spanx neighborhood.
You're out of that neighborhood. You're out of that. I need something that's going to be a little more firm, give me a little more hold, so that when I walk over there, I'm over there and I'm not over there and there.
Ooh, come on, Jesus. Ooh.
You know.
All right, so we got about 2 minutes left.
Okay.
So I want you to, one, tell everybody, look in the camera, tell everybody, I think yours is camera 2.
Okay.
Tell everybody where we can find True Diva Designs.
Okay. True Diva Designs, you can go to truediva.com, TRUDIVA.com. I just came out with part 1 of my spring collection. Part 2 will be coming out next week. It's bold, vibrant, bright colors, patterns. I love patterns and prints. So check us out, check us out, check us out.
Are you on Facebook, Instagram?
We're on Facebook, True Diva. Yes, we're on Facebook. We're on Instagram under True Diva. Please check us out there. I have upcoming shows coming up.
Tell them about the big one real quick.
The big show is Full Figure Fashion Week that I will be showing in June. Once again, the fabulous Gwen DeVoe, producer. I will be doing that show. I would also be doing the DMV this year, the District, Washington, which will be in May, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And in June, we'll be doing Full Figure Fashion
You about to eat up all my time. But it's been, let me just say, Veronica, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Come back and see
Thank
us. Anyway, we're almost out of time. I want to thank you for sharing your knowledge with us today. Before I go, as always, I'd like to leave you guys with a few thoughts. Remember that you can't change the game without first learning the game. Always surround yourself with positive people and positive things. And lastly, do what you love and love what you do. Thanks for watching Model Behavior, guys, and I will see y'all next week. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and all of that. See y'all next week. Class is dismissed. Bye, y'all.